A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a powerful display of solidarity, women across the globe took to the streets on International Women's Day, demanding an end to gender-based violence and inequality. From Istanbul to New York, activists rallied to raise their voices against systemic oppression and to advocate for women's rights in various aspects of life. In Istanbul, the vibrant Kadıköy district became a focal point for protests, where women from numerous organizations gathered to listen to speeches, sing, and dance under the spring sun. Despite the festive atmosphere, a heavy police presence loomed, with officers in riot gear and water cannon trucks on standby. The Turkish government, under President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, declared 2025 as the Year of the Family, a move that many protesters criticized as an attempt to limit women's roles to that of wives and mothers. Banners reading "Family will not bind us to life" and "We will not be sacrificed to the family" echoed the sentiments of those who believe women's rights have been increasingly curtailed. Critics have pointed to Erdogan's withdrawal from the Istanbul Convention in 2021, a treaty designed to protect women from domestic violence, as a significant setback for women's rights in Turkey. According to the We Will Stop Femicides platform, a staggering 394 women were killed by men in Turkey in 2024 alone. The call for equality resonated across Europe, with protests erupting in cities such as Warsaw, where activists established a center for women to access abortion pills, directly challenging Poland's stringent abortion laws. This act of defiance was a symbolic gesture against the backdrop of a country where women's reproductive rights are heavily restricted. Demonstrations also took place in major cities including Athens, Madrid, Paris, Munich, and Belgrade, where women marched to demand an end to their treatment as second-class citizens. In Madrid, protesters held up images of Giselle Pelicot, a woman who endured horrific abuse at the hands of her ex-husband, becoming a symbol of the fight against sexual violence across Europe. In North Macedonia, thousands of women gathered in Skopje and other cities, advocating for economic, political, and social equality. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, the Mobolaji Johnson Stadium in Lagos was filled with women dressed in purple, celebrating their identities and calling for liberation. The tone of celebrations in Russia was markedly different, with official ceremonies featuring soldiers presenting flowers to women, reflecting a more state-controlled narrative of Women's Day. In the United States, cities like Washington, D.C., New York City, and Los Angeles saw a resurgence of protests organized by the Women's March Network, particularly against policies enacted by the Trump administration that were perceived to disproportionately affect women. These demonstrations, occurring just weeks into Trump's second term, were met with widespread participation, with over 300 protests planned nationwide. Activists voiced their concerns over a series of executive actions that they argue undermine diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Organizations like RefuseFascism.org in Oakland rallied support for the demonstrations, highlighting the ongoing struggle against misogyny and discrimination. In Serbia, female students marked International Women's Day by leading protests against corruption and violence against women, stemming from a tragic incident where a concrete canopy collapsed, killing 15 people. Their call for accountability has resonated with many citizens who were disillusioned with the government. Carrying a banner that read, "Women in Front Rows," the students honored victims of domestic violence in a poignant moment of silence. The protests in Serbia reflect a broader discontent with President Aleksandar Vučić's administration, which has faced accusations of corruption and stifling democratic freedoms. The students' peaceful protests have drawn significant public support, challenging the populist regime's grip on power. As the global movement for women's rights continues to gain momentum, the events of International Women's Day serve as a reminder of the ongoing fight for equality and justice. Activists worldwide are united in their determination to dismantle the structures that perpetuate gender-based violence and inequality, advocating for a future where women can live freely and equally in society. The call for change is louder than ever, and the world is watching as women everywhere demand their rights and reclaim their voices. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.